Hi everybody, I'm back. I'm doing another sort of video stream for my YouTube channel, which is all the rage. I even made a little thing around me, so it looks all kind of nice. And for today, I thought it'd be nice if I stream me playing some of the latest version of the game, so you can see some of the changes that happened since the pre-alpha test a couple of weeks ago or 2 weeks ago during Base Builder Fest. Some of you who played that noticed that was a pre-alpha demo, which meant I put it online to get all the feedback, to have that initial, when the shit hits the fan type of moment. Oh my god, this is bad, this is good. And it had lots of people liking it, but there was lots of feedback. Went into controllers, mouse, keyboard, the general, natural, intuitive explanation of things, how they worked. And I've been knee deep in changing stuff for that. And I thought I'd show off some of the changes that happened since then and some of the changes that happened during the demo week, which you might have not seen or noticed. So one of the let's dive into it. So here we are. So let's start with some of the most boring stuff. In the Falconeer, some of the settings for controls were in the settings menu, some were in the controller menu. It was all a bit of a mess. I've tried to clean that up partially already during the demo, which means that you have your control schemes. They are fairly similar. There might be auto switching where in the future, but I'm not. It comes with a lot of problems, which means you move your mouse and it switches to mouse. You pick up your controller and it moves to controller. For now, it detects it when you pass the title screen what you're using, and it sets that as your default the first time, and afterwards that's always your default. So I've added controller sensitivity. That is basically your cursor control. I find for myself that it is. I like it. It's fairly sensitive. You might like it less sensitive, more draggy. Camera control is then the right stick, which is sort of a default, and you can swap it out. There is a new heading there. The camera invert has lots of options, so you can invert nothing, you can invert only up and down, you can invert only horizontal, and the difference here is either you push the camera towards the edge or you turn the camera towards something. When you're playing with the stick, I prefer, and I made it a default for everything to be inverted. That's okay, because the camera is your thumb. That's how I think of it. We don't have any mouse turning, but for today we'll put it to mouse. Quite a few options. This orbits the camera actually. One way of doing it is to push against the horizontal edges of the screen. That orbits the camera horizontally. You can do that up and down as well. I find that quite confusing for myself. And then camera invert also becomes, something to do. And then there's middle mouse orbit, which lots of people love, which is very conventional towards 3D strategy games. So not necessarily builders or colony sims, but something like Homeworld. Orbit is quite a base feature there. And you're usually also stuck to units as well, not always. So that's there as well. The reason you can't do edge turning and mouse orbit is that when you're orbiting, you're pushing the mouse towards the edge of the screen. And if you like inverted or other edges, you get either a double orbit from the edge or you get it pushing against each other. So it's either this or that. I like just horizontal edge, the default. It gives you the option to rotate the camera. But I've changed some of the things in the camera from previous videos, so you notice that. And you can set the camera sensitivity as you like. Of course, you can rebind all the keys. I can switch mouse keys here. I've made it that moving and giving a move order or selecting something is left mouse button, and build and upgrade is right mouse button. There are a few instances where I'm still thinking what the default should be. One thing that changed as well is people didn't like the scroll wheel middle mouse button down or up to switch between the ground and air build modes, between the Surveyor flying around and building. I've added that to the space because there was lots of accidents. And that makes it a little bit more, you have to think about it. The other things are WASD for moving the camera and zooming in and out, floor up, and showing the resource flow and demolishing. It's a much simpler control scheme than Falconeer, luckily. There's also a few new settings that came out. one new thing that I did in the final days of the demo was add the camera tracking. So in the initial, we'll see it in a bit. It means that the camera now sort of is a more conventional follow cam when you're flying around. Not entirely, because you still need to build, but hey. The other thing is the screen button props, which you saw, is in the top left corner. You see what buttons, what options are available, and what buttons are bound to that in here. I think that's the major changes for with regards to that. So I head into the campaign. I've already saved something. Well, that'll be fine. We'll build something. It is no longer a demo, so all the other scenarios are active. I'm working on 3 scenarios at the least, but those are just. And I think scenarios better work than campaign. They will be the starting locations. They'll have a little challenge for you in what's there, how the resources are laid out. So, for instance, in the mall, you can't have ships crossing the mall. That makes things more complicated. And they'll have factions nearby that each will have their own faction progression as a little more classical progression. Befriend these factions, but it's a free game, so you can. It's sort of sandboxy. It is a sandbox. You can also attack them and stuff like that. That's not working yet, but that's the idea. Another thing, and we'll see it in a minute, is I made some changes to the map. So this is your starting area. Let's start at the tutorial area, which some of you might have played. So. Since this is a save game, it starts halfway the tutorial. I wouldn't bother you with that too much. So let's make an end harbor for whatever. So flying around is a little bit different, because yesterday I made it that the cursor isn't exactly at the height of your surveyor. It's at an average height between the ground and your surveyor. That means you can judge distances, but it feels a little bit more detached from your surveyor. Some people were confused, thought it was like a direct input, but it is literally the surveyor goes to where your mouse cursor, where you click. You see a little pulse where it goes. The reason I've lowered it because it becomes easier to select like these random encounters, or sometimes you'll be able to select like this harbor. That's changed. I've just fixed it. So it used to be that the mouse snapped and it was very fidgety and it was a bit janky, really. So I thought those feet were quite right on that. So it's now just a soft roll over. And what you see is that the icon there's something interesting here, and you see it happening in this random event. It raises up to the height of where your cursor is, so that they always meet. So there's no misclicking anymore. When the cursor meets the icon, they are at the same height, and the cursor interacts, and we can open it up and have a little. I'll have your outpost. That's fine. So that is much more smoother now. The same goes for the captains that hire you. One of the small things that this was in the demo as well. So if I open up this guy, I can hire him, and he'll sail off afterwards. Previously, they were just staying put, and that got confusing because they sail up to your harbor. There was this dead ship in your harbor. It was just generally confusing. So that is in the controls. Another thing that is visible is that the camera turns with the airship. So when you move at speed, go away. Will be built up around it. So when you move at speed, the camera becomes like a third-person camera. It follows the surveyor. I can still, orbit everything, and that's the game of the game. When you build something, you want to go somewhere, rotate the camera to where you want it at. You can edge scroll that as well, because I turned that off, or orbit if you does it. So there's lots of options to do this, and you can see now there's a little bit more. You have, because it's underneath you, the cursor doesn't interfere with the surveyor itself, and you can pick the right spot. See the line where you want something to build. Of course, we're gonna see if we can put it on. So the other thing that's happened is when you're not flying around, the cursor used to be attached to the surveyor blimp, and that made it really sort of nervous, because because people, one of the comments was, I want to edge scroll, you know, I want a more, you know, I want a top-down builder, you know, Age of Wonders, whatever, you know, Anno type builder, and scroll through the map. And I think people didn't realize it's a 10-kilometer open world, so you can't edge scroll through that. So the mouse cursor needs to be attached to something that moves through the world. You can't move the cursor by itself, because then you're just edge scrolling through 10 kilometers of things. I'm gonna turn down the sound a little bit. Oh, not the gamma. So that is why the cursor is attached to the Surveyor. But what I've done is I've attached it to the camera. So you'll see differences. You see the Surveyor going up when the cursor is not, and the distance to the cursor is sort of also different. So if you go slow, you'll actually have that, you know, simple. If you're standing still, it's actually that absolute camera position where the cursor is the mouse. In 3D space, of course, it's not, you know, a top-down cursor, allowing you to build. That's actually nicely so. So that's the flying around. I think that's all the aspects of flying around that's changed since the demo. Let's go to the ground. So I need to connect that. So let's connect our outposts, which we've just been farming for a little bit from the random encounters, and connect them up. You'll see one difference is the build line is no longer straight with the little, and let's go somewhere where we can build. And we need to, you know, maybe add a little bit of wood to this here. So the more you build, the more wood you get. One of the things that got added in the demo is that you see the numbers for each resource when you open the overlay. That's how far they can travel. So this wood from the right corner here can jump 4 towers, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way over there before it starts to sort of end. See, and when it's wiggling, it starts to be out of resources. That means we can now build, and as you can see, the build line, this is a ridiculous height, but here is more, it's, and here the orbit works and the edge scrolling as well. But you're constrained to what's physically possible to build. I do this because you need to be able to design in 3D. Now, I'm a 3D artist by trade, so orbiting around 3D objects is sort of my bread and butter. But not everybody has that, and it's a skill you need to learn. It's an aptitude, a muscle memory, whatever you want to call it. And it can be uncomfortable if you're not used to it. That's why you constrain the camera to the tower, so you can orbit and you don't have every 6 degrees of separation, freedom. You will only have the freedom to orbit, and you can position the camera to see. Well, I really want to see where I want to build it. But what I've changed is that the build line used to be straight, and the little circles and squares which showed where you could build them went down, and some things were glowing, some were not. So yesterday I spent all day cleaning that up. So only the what's under the cursor is glowing, is active, but there's also a line that's quite visible that is ground hugging. How to call ground following. So you can actually see if you go behind them, where am I building? Where you can see, okay, I am more or less behind it. I can go, okay, I'm definitely building behind this thing. And that shows you the second thing that's new. If you saw my previous videos, you saw me, I don't have wood to do it here, so let's go somewhere where we have plenty of wood. I would always have to connect back to make walls. So this is the thing I added, I think, on the semi-final few days of the demo. If you have wood, it will auto-connect. That makes building even more. As see, I'm running out of wood. I connect it back up. Why? And then it doesn't. So you can still manually do stuff. Let's see. We're nearly out of wood there. So let's go up close from the wood source. In free building, you can do this infinitely. So See, you can keep building, and you don't need to think about connecting. It takes an entire jump out of your how do you call it? Building exercise. Uh, and with the line, it becomes easy to see what you're building. The squares light up more, so you can see, hey, I'm building a square thing. That's not a new tower or wall. And if you upgrade that, a triangle thing, if I can get one. And these are determined, of course, by the slope and elevation of what's beneath it, and you can stack. I've shown this before, so nothing has changed there. But those are some major changes on how building looks and works. One other thing is that snapping is you still see the cursor. I hit those, and also made it feel janky, but now the cursor is always there, just changes shape. And you can see why it's magnetically stuck to another tower, because then you get roads. And the further you go, you had this problem where if you were going behind something, the cursor was still selecting the tower. So if you're really in that 2D mindset from other games, and that's where your muscle and eye memory and your coordination is, you click on the tower, but you need to click on the base, on the position of it, where it starts. I've tried to fix that by making the snap also based on angle. So if the angle is close, it will also snap, even if I'm not close. And that is doubly so if I'm far away. So see, it will snap further. But when I'm close to something, the snap will be short, so I can have accuracy. And the accuracy is, I think, a little bit increased if you zoom in. So there's even the cursor is a little slower when you zoom in, all to make it more intuitive to build, to snap, and that it's easy and it feels nice, because that is I'm not making this for people to get frustrated with the build system. So that leaves us. Let's see if we can show it. We also have a nice new tiny feature I made last day of the demo, small bridges. And because people were getting stuck in these, if we look top down, you can see that the shallows, you can see the shallows in the distance, and they're underneath all kinds of buildings. People would have a hard time, they would be building happily along, and they'd come to the edge of something, like here is a little, you can't build from, there's a little red area there, a little depth, and then they try to traverse it and nothing could be built. I've removed that there's a little leeway where you can traverse the depth. So if there's a little red, it's no problem. If it's too much, it stops. So there's like a small distance. The larger distance, of course, you need to span with some of the towers, and it's part of the, it's sort of the fun of the game to be able to do that. And when you span the right distance, it'll span these tiny towers as well. And they come in various shapes, and it's sort of a fun. Okay, so that's too far. You can still be the tower on that, thing, on that little sandbank, but you can't connect a wall, so you can skip it, and we can see if we can make. Look, and you can have these little bit more elegant structures. It's a little bit fiddly, but the fiddling is the fun, figuring out how to do it. If I make it automatically, these things where you don't have to fiddle with it, you lose the sense of accomplishment in a sense. A game is a little bit of challenge, so figuring out where I can be, and then going over the edge. One of the things is the water going up and down, and you can see it in your build line, can influence if you get a square of a triangle, so you have to wait a little bit. The building is the joy of the game, so that's why that's there. We're getting on to the final bit. So lots of people got into the games, and these were things that were bothering people. The intuitive, it's not, something can not be intuitive to everybody, and especially if you've got lots of, muscle gameplay memories, conventions you hold dear, which make a game like something that's comfortable, because you know what to do and you don't have to learn anything. This is a lot of learning, and one of the things people got stuck in was the harbors. So when you build a harbor, you could assign a captain, And besides the selection now being easier, another thing that's changed is I can open that menu from the ground. And if I'm pressing escape. Need to change this. So here's the end harbor, which we're going to remove with the delete button, and we're gonna hook up some iron. So I can't build here because I always need to build something towards the harbors aren't a cheat, so they can't be built nilly-willy or willy-nilly, whatever. Anywhere you need to be close to another tower. So now we've created our harbor and our control route. I can open that up from that menu, this as well. So I've changed this menu, some of it yesterday. You skip through all your captains. There's 4 here. The icons show what they do. Again, that opens up in the overlay, and that will get expanded to explain even more. But what's new is that you can assign multiple captains. So I can remove that. I have no captains. We wanted to transport iron. So this guy transport iron, assign him. But I also want to move some wood the other way, because let's see, where is the wood guy? Is this the wood guy? I wanted to escort him. Let's assign him. Now I have 2 captains, and you'll see his boat coming out when we. So we now have 2 captains plying these trade lanes. We'll see iron going one way, wood the other. And people as well. So there's little bits of people, that's the green dots coming in. And you can see we've got everything, so that means we can build from here. This used to be quite an annoying place to build, because there was a bit of a depth in this place. But there's now little bridges. So if I build some more... let's remove those. So these are the happy accidents when you make something, this sandboxy with a building focused. That has a good procedural element to it. I didn't realize that I can now have, when I cross this, it's easy to build. Well, I didn't build anything there. I need to connect it. And they built little bridges, which look nice. Like something you would do in an industry, and you don't have that tangle of things crossing anymore. So that is, let's hook that up. I've made this +6 just by adding a few of these. People can move in. You'll see them making their iron that was already there. That actually improves the number that comes out. So by adding more people, it becomes bigger, and that is the core gameplay. So that is... And we can see that the people aren't reaching here, so nobody's living there. So that's from your outpost. We can upgrade that. And people should be moving much further in a little bit. And the more extensions you build on your tower, going a little crazy here, the number will go up. So that is harbors, and actually, I don't have a combat, but you can add a combat captain to this. So let's find one, and that makes total sense. Let's find econ mechanic. Usually they sell up because they want to be hired, but not today. Well, they have this random. We'll have to wait. So that. Another thing, someone said, it's so dark. Can you at least make sure that I see further? I like the atmospheric nature of it, or it's so foggy. But can you show me the lights at a distance? And I thought, wow, that's a really great idea. So I've made it that the lights, because it's not a clipping distance issue, it's just a focus issue. I want you to focus on this area, not the busyness of this is tremendous. Visual noise is quite heavy on your settlement, so I want to focus that cleanly. But I've made it so that the lights in the distance, and you can see them flickering. So, for instance, I don't know what's up there. I guess I made something there earlier. And it's all, you can see the lights through the fog, even when you can't see or barely see what's there. And it's even cooler when you have a full... oh, there's a ship to hire. Let's hire that. We can check out the stuff in the distance as well. And you can see your little settlement, glowing up in in the haze of the. And this works particularly great at night, and nighttime becomes much more a spectacle, and you get better sense of the depth of the world rather than it being super foggy. And that's not a combat ship. Okay, well, I can have you. Well, you can imagine a combat ship will now be nice to assign to the same route. It can protect that route, and that makes a lot more sense, especially if they're quite large different distances. And once, faction stuff comes in and combat. That is just quite a... I think 50 things happen, so I forget what I did. But the harbors... the changes to how the GUI, the UX of building on the ground and in the air is different now, more cursor focused, making it clearer how the control scheme is. The camera work is different. Selecting stuff isn't that snappy, janky stuff anymore. It should feel a lot more polished when the next demo comes around, which eventually will happen. The next thing I'll be adding is those little random encounters you have should also spawn little tiny settlements with unique buildings for you to, deconstruct or add as an outpost. So I'm building that at the moment, which will lead into larger settlements you can interact with. Look, there's a combat captain.
You cannot build a harbor this close to a...
And we can... and they'll suggest a captain for that spot, but... Actually, and there she goes. Protects that same that cutter there will protect that trade route and follow the little ships. And it's kind of nice to have instead of 1 and 3, and it declutters it as well, because people were using there were, if you remember the old settlements, there were harbors everywhere because one captain per harbor, and this is nice. I only need one harbor there and there to have all kinds of traffic, and it still has the resort gameplay because you still have limited captains. So that's a bit of all the works that I've done in the last few weeks. Seeing you have more intuitive quality of life, a little bit of extra content, and now it's adding all the more, going back into the content track and building all the the external settlements, interactions with those where they can ally or be hostile, be deconstructed and added to your empire, as it were. So that's coming, but for now that's a little bit of an update. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I was in camera.